Chitty stood at the rusted gate, his heart hammering against his ribs, staring at the place he once called home. 15 years. 15 years since Okafor looked him in the eye and said, "You are not my son." 15 years since he was erased from the family records. 15 years of wandering. Living on the edges of other people's lives. But now he was back. Because Oluchi was 3 months pregnant, and her family had been clear. No father, no marriage. No lineage, no acceptance. "Bring us proof of who you are," her father had said. "Bring us a family that claims you. Then we can talk about the future." So here he stood. At the first door. The gate creaked as he pushed it open. Nothing had changed. The same mango tree where he and Ikena, his younger brother, used to play. The same compound he swept every morning. The same house where he learned to make himself invisible. A young woman stepped out from the house. She froze when she saw him. Chitty said softly, "Is Papa Okafor home?" Her eyes widened with a recognition she shouldn't have. She was too young to remember him. Which meant they still talked about him here. The unwanted one. The son who wasn't a son. "Wait," she whispered and slipped inside. Moments later, Okafor emerged. Older now. Grayer. Shoulders bent. But his eyes, those eyes that refused to look at Chitty when he lived here, were still the same. They looked at him now with something between shock and displeasure. "Chitty," Okafor said flatly. "Not my son. Not welcome home. Just his name. Like a stranger's." "Papa," Chitty began, his chest trembling. "I need to speak with you." Okafor stepped out and closed the gate halfway, keeping Chitty outside. Always outside. "What do you want?" he asked. "I'm going to be a father," Chitty said. No reaction. "The woman I love, her family wants proof that I come from somewhere. That I have people. A name I can give my child." Still nothing. "Papa, I'm not asking for land or inheritance. I just need acknowledgement. Just my name on paper. Something that says I belong." Okafor's jaw tightened. For a moment, just a moment, something like pain crossed his face. Then it hardened. "I removed your name from our records 15 years ago," he said quietly. "What you're asking is for me to put it back? To claim you as my son when you are not my blood." "I know I'm not your blood," Chitty whispered. "But you raised me. For 7 years, you were the only father I knew. Doesn't that count for something?" "It counted for 7 years," Okafor replied. "But a man cannot give his lineage to another man's seed." "Then tell me whose seed I am." Chitty's voice cracked. "If you won't claim me, at least tell me who will. Who is my father?" Okafor looked away, the same way he always did when Chitty asked questions that carried danger. "Your mother took that secret with her when she left. You're lying." Okafor's head snapped up, anger flashing. "You dare?" "You know," Chitty cut in, shaking. "You've always known. I saw it in your eyes. Not confusion, shame. You know who my father is." Silence. Heavy. Tense. Finally, Okafor said, "Even if I knew, I would not tell you. Some doors must remain closed." He turned toward the gate. "Go, Chitty. You will find no answers here." "Papa. I am not your papa," Okafor said softly. "Not anymore." The gate closed. Not slammed. Just closed. Quietly. Finally. Finding Adiora took 3 days and 7 different contacts. She had remarried. Moved away. Started a new life with new children, children who didn't know they had an older brother. When Chitty stood outside her house, his hands were trembling. His mother. The woman who birthed him, then vanished. He knocked. She opened the door. Older. Tired. Her face lined with years of running from the truth. "Chitty," she whispered. "Mama." She stepped outside quickly, closing the door behind her. Even now, she was hiding him. "What are you doing here?" she asked urgently. "I need the truth," he said. "I need to know who my father is." Her face crumpled. "Why now?" "Because I'm going to be a father," he said. "And I can't give my child a name I don't have." "I can't," she whispered. "I can't tell you. Can't or won't. Both." Chitty's voice trembled. "Mama, please." Tears filled her eyes. "You don't understand what you're asking." "Then make me understand," he cried. "I've lived my whole life unclaimed. Do you know what that does to a person?" "I claimed you," she whispered. "I kept you when everyone told me not to. I suffered for you. I lost everything for you. And then you left me." Adora flinched. "I left to protect you," she said. "If I stayed, the truth would have destroyed you. It's destroying me now." He reached for her hand. "Just his name, Mama." She shook her head violently. "I can't. He is powerful. Respected. If this truth comes out, everything collapses, your life included." "I don't care." "I do," she whispered. "I care too much. That's why I can't tell you." She stepped back toward the door. Mama. Hello friends and family, welcome to my channel. But before we dive deeper into today's story, I have a small but heartfelt request. Please subscribe now. Your support is what keeps this channel and these stories alive. Every time you click that subscribe button, you're helping us share voices that might never be heard, and stories that deserve to be remembered. In the comments, tell us where you're watching from. We love hearing from every corner of the world. Because together, we're not just telling stories, we're keeping hope alive. Now, back to the story. Go, she said, tears streaming. It's the only way you'll survive. The door closed, and something inside Chitty cracked. The village elders gathered under the old Irako tree. 7 elders. 7 men who watched him grow. 7 men who knew the truth. Chitty stood before them. I come seeking help, he said. I'm about to become a father, but I have no lineage to give my child. No family name. No identity. I ask this council to help me find the truth. Silence. Pa Obi spoke first. This is a family matter, not a village matter. My family has refused me, Chitty said. So I come to the only community I have left. Another elder said, perhaps their silence is for your good. Chitty's frustration rose. Good for who? The ones hiding secrets or the child who lives with the consequences? Pa Nwokiaka, respected elder, shifted uncomfortably. Mind your tone, he warned. You speak before elders. I speak from pain, Chitty replied. Pain this village helped create. A ripple of unease passed through the council. Chitty continued, voice trembling. You all know something. I've seen it all my life, the looks, the whispers. This village knows who I am. You've all simply agreed to stay silent. Pa Nwokiaka stood abruptly. This council cannot help you. Your mother's truth is hers alone. You mean you won't expose whoever you're protecting, Chitty said. Leave, Nwokiaka thundered. Before you speak words you cannot take back. Chitty scanned their faces, guilt, fear, avoidance. You're cowards, he said quietly. He turned and walked away. He didn't see Pa Nwokiaka's hands trembling. Didn't see the fear in his eyes. Didn't see the truth etched into his expression. A truth the village had buried for 28 years. 3 doors. 3 denials. 3 failures. Chitty sat on the floor of his rented room, mind replaying every rejection. His father's cold dismissal. His mother's terrified silence. The village's refusal. His phone buzzed. A message from Oluchi's father. We need your family information by the end of this week. 3 days. Chitty picked up a pen and a scrap of paper. And he wrote, Who am I? Again. Who am I? And again. Who am I? His hand shook. His chest tightened. He didn't know that someone in the village had been watching. Someone who feared the truth. Someone who decided. If Chitty wouldn't stop asking questions, then they would give him an answer. A wrong answer. A dangerous answer. An answer that would save him. Or destroy him. Completely. Chitty didn't sleep that night. The paper with his repeated question, Who am I? Lay on the small table beside his thin mattress, the ink smudged where his sweating palm had rested on it. Outside, the city hummed. Cars passing. Dogs barking. Distant music from someone's celebration. Life continuing for people who knew where they came from. Chitty stared at the ceiling, running through his options for the 1000th time. Option 1, lie to Oluchi's family. Forge documents. Create a lineage that wasn't his. But lies had shaped his entire existence. He couldn't build a child on more deception. Option 2, give up. Walk away from Oluchi, from the baby, from the chance to create the family he never had. His throat tightened at the thought. Option 3, keep searching. Keep knocking. But he'd already knocked on every door that mattered. And they'd all slammed shut. A sudden knock broke his spiral. Soft. Hesitant. Almost fearful. Chitty sat up, heart pounding. It was past midnight. Nobody visited him in the daytime, let alone now. Another knock, sharper this time. He approached the door cautiously and pressed his ear against it. Who is it? He whispered. Silence. Then a trembling voice, barely above a breath. Someone who has answers. But we must speak quickly, and you must never tell anyone I came here. Chitty froze. The voice was familiar, but distant, like a memory pulled from childhood. Who are you? He asked. A friend of your mother's. From long ago. Before everything fell apart. His breath caught. He unlocked the door and opened it. An old woman stood in the dim corridor, wrapped in a dark shawl. Her eyes, sharp despite the years, darted nervously around before settling on him. Mama Nkaruka, Chitty breathed. He remembered her. She lived in his mother's compound when he was little. One of the few who held him without judgment. One of the few who was kind to Adiora. Let me in, she whispered. Before someone sees me. Chitty stepped aside. She entered quickly, lowering her shawl to reveal a face carved deep with age and secrets. "How did you find me?" Chitty asked. "I have my ways," she said. "Your mother mentioned you were searching for answers. And word travels, even across state lines." "My mother sent you?" "No," Maman Karuka said sharply. "If she knew I was here, she'd never forgive me. But I've carried this burden long enough. And now that you're about to be a father," she softened. "No child should grow up lost the way you did." Chitty's voice trembled. "You know who my father is." It wasn't a question. Maman Karuka nodded, sorrow filling her eyes. "I know," she whispered. "I was there the night it happened." Chitty felt the room tilt beneath him. "Tell me," he said. "Please, tell me everything." She eased into his only chair, as if the truth weighed too much to stand. "Your mother was 17, she began. Smart, beautiful, full of dreams. She wanted to be a teacher, you know." Chitty shook his head. "There was a man," Mama continued, her voice tightening. "A powerful man. Married. Respected. Feared." Chitty's pulse quickened. "He saw your mother at a community gathering. And he wanted her." The way she said wanted chilled Chitty to the bone. "Did she want him?" he asked, already knowing. "No. But wanting doesn't matter when a man has power and a girl has none." The words hit him like stones. "He forced her," Chitty said quietly. Maman Karuka exhaled. "Not with visible violence. But with threats. Promises. Pressure. And when resisting became impossible, he took what he wanted, and disappeared." Chitty swallowed hard. "And when she found out she was pregnant?" "She came to me," Mama said, voice trembling. Crying as if her heart had shattered. She feared what would happen when people learned who the father was. "Who was he?" Chitty whispered. Mama looked at him for a long, heavy moment. Then she spoke the name. "Pa Nwokiaka." Silence swallowed the room. Chitty's blood turned cold. Pa Nwokiaka, the village's most respected elder. The man who had looked at him with contempt. The man who presided over the council meeting days ago. The man whose presence made Chitty feel ashamed for reasons he never understood. "No," Chitty whispered. "That's impossible." "It's the truth," Mama said firmly. "Everyone who mattered knew. Your mother begged him to acknowledge you. But he was powerful. And she was a girl with no voice. The elders protected him," Mama finished. "They pressured her into silence. They arranged for her to marry Okafor, a good man who needed a wife. The village would pretend. Everyone would keep quiet. She would be safe. So she married him." "Yes. And Okafor tried, Chitty. He truly tried. But every time he looked at you, he saw Pa Nwokiaka. Saw the truth they were all hiding. Eventually, he couldn't pretend anymore." Chitty sat at the edge of his mattress, air leaving his lungs. "So, Pa Nwokiaka is my father." "He is," Mama said. "The man who destroyed your mother's life, and spent 30 years burying his sin. Does he know I know? He's terrified you will expose him. Why do you think he refused to help you? Why he ended the council meeting so fast?" Chitty clenched his fists. 30 years. 30 years of suffering, searching, begging? And the man who had all the answers watched in silence. "Why tell me now?" Chitty asked. Maman Karuka stood, leaning heavily on the chair. "Because you deserve the truth. Your child deserves the truth." And, her voice cracked. "Because I'm dying. Cancer. Months left, maybe less. I refuse to leave this world carrying his secret." She walked to the door but paused. "Be careful, Chitty. He is still powerful. Still protected." "I don't care about consequences," Chitty said. "I care about the truth." Mama gave him a sad, pitying look. "Truth and justice are not the same," she whispered. "You may get one without the other." She lifted her shawl. "One more thing," Chitty said. "Why did my mother leave me? Why did she abandon me?" Mama's eyes softened painfully. "She didn't abandon you. She was driven out. Pa Nwokiaka's family threatened her. Told her if she stayed, they'd twist the story. Make her the seductress. Destroy her. She ran because she had no choice." Chitty swallowed hard. "She survived," Mama said. "The only way she knew how." She stepped into the corridor. "Speak to her before you confront him," she said softly. "Let her tell you herself." Then she disappeared into the darkness. Chitty stood in the doorway for a long moment before shutting it and sliding down the door. Pa Nwokiaka. His father. The man who erased him before he was born. Rage boiled through him. But under the rage was something else. Relief. He finally knew. He wasn't nameless anymore. He wasn't rootless. He wasn't nobody. And he would be ignored no longer. Chitty stood before his mother's house again, this time not to ask questions, but to give her a choice. He knocked. Adeora opened the door, and went pale instantly. Chitty, I told you. Pan Wokiaka, Chitty said. Her entire body collapsed against the doorframe. How did you know? She whispered. Someone who loves you more than they fear him, Chitty said. Someone who's dying. Adora closed her eyes. Maman Karuka. Chitty nodded. She stepped outside and sank onto the step. Chitty sat beside her. I should have told you, she whispered. I should have been brave. Yes, Chitty said softly. You should have. I thought not knowing would hurt less. It didn't, he said. I grew up believing I was nobody. Adora cried silently. What will you do? She asked. Chitty stood. I'm going back, he said. I'm going to make him acknowledge me. Chitty, no. They'll protect him. They'll destroy you. Let them try, he said. Come with me. Stand with me. She looked at him, fear swallowing her courage. I can't, she whispered. Chitty nodded once. Then I'll stand alone. He walked away and didn't look back. Word spread quickly when he arrived in the village. The lost son had returned. Not begging, but demanding. A crowd gathered beneath the Irako tree. Pan Wokiaka emerged with two of his sons flanking him, Chitty's half-brothers. What is the meaning of this? Pan Wokiaka barked. Chitty met his gaze and, for the first time, didn't look away. I know the truth, Chitty said, voice ringing through the square. I know who my father is. The crowd stilled. You know nothing, Pan Wokiaka spat. You forced yourself on my mother when she was 17, Chitty said. You silenced her. You let me grow up feeling like I was nothing, while you watched from your high seat. Gasps rippled. I am your son. Acknowledge me. Pan Wokiaka's face hardened with fury and fear. You are a liar. And if you keep spreading this nonsense, you will regret it. Then let's settle it properly, Chitty said. A DNA test. Scientific proof. A wave of murmurs rolled through the crowd. Pan Wokiaka paled. Because they all knew what a test would reveal. Silence stretched. Then a voice cut through the air. Stop. The crowd parted. A figure stepped forward. And Chitty's breath caught. Ikena. His brother. He had traveled through the night. But the look in Ikena's eyes wasn't support. It was something else. Something sharp, painful, devastating. Something that would shatter what little hope Chitty had left. Stop. The single word sliced through the air like a blade. Chitty's heart stumbled. He knew that voice. Carried it through 15 years of loneliness. Held it like a fragile memory on the hardest nights. Ikena. His brother. His closest friend in a childhood ruled by silence. The crowd parted, and there he was. Taller than Chitty remembered. Broader. Clothes clean, expensive, evidence of a life built far from the poverty they once shared. But it was his face that made Chitty's breath falter. No warmth. No recognition. Only cold determination. Ikena, Chitty breathed. You came. Relief washed through him. At last, someone who understood. Someone who had lived in that house, seen the differences, felt the wounds. But Ikena didn't step toward him. He didn't even smile. I came, Ikena said, voice steady, to stop you from making the biggest mistake of your life. Chitty froze. What? Ikena turned, not to him, but to the crowd. My brother is, not well, he began, projecting concern that felt rehearsed. He's been struggling. I've tried to support him from Enugu, but lately he's become obsessed with this idea that he doesn't belong. And now he's accusing respected elders. Stories? Chitty cut in, disbelief cracking his voice. Ikena, you know. I know you're hurting, Ikena continued smoothly, ignoring him. But attacking Pan Wokiaka is not the answer. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Chitty felt the world tilt. Ikena, what are you doing? Ikena finally looked at him. And in his eyes, Chitty saw something that shattered him more deeply than any rejection from Okafor, from Adiora, from the village. Calculation. Cold. Deliberate. Practical. I'm saving you from yourself, Ikena said. Come home. Get some help. Rest. Stop this before you ruin your life. Chitty's head spun. This wasn't concern. This was control. This was betrayal. Why? Chitty whispered. For a heartbeat, a flicker of guilt crossed Ikena's face. Then it vanished. Because someone has to be the responsible one. Understanding hit Chitty like ice water. Ikena had a life in Enugu. A good one. A respectable one. One tied to Okafor's name. To the village. To the lineage Chitty's truth could destroy. You're protecting your reputation, Chitty said, voice cracking. You're choosing comfort over truth. I'm choosing reality over your delusions, Ikena snapped, his mask slipping. You think this will give you a father? It won't. It'll make you a liar? Then let him take the DNA test. No, Ikena shot back. Pan Wokiaka doesn't owe you anything. For you, maybe, Chitty whispered. But I need the truth. What you need is to accept some doors stay closed. He stepped closer, lowering his voice to a dagger's whisper. You're about to be a father. Think of that child. Do you want to be remembered as the man who caused chaos in his own village? Chidi swallowed. I want my child to know their father fought for the truth. Then you're a fool. The words fell like a hammer. Their entire childhood, every shared hardship, cracked in half. Go home, Chidi, Ikena said loudly for the crowd. There's nothing for you here. He turned to Pan Wokiaka and bowed slightly. Elder, I apologize. My brother is going through a difficult time. I'll make sure he gets help. Pan Wokiaka nodded, pleased. The dismissal was complete. People drifted away. Whispers spread. The square emptied. And Chidi stood alone. Again. His phone buzzed. Ikena. I did what I had to do. You'll understand someday. Stop before you hurt yourself more. He didn't reply. Another buzz. Oluchi. My father heard what happened. We can't move forward without proof of your lineage. I'm sorry, Chidi. I love you, but... The message cut off. But the meaning didn't. Everyone was choosing something over him. He stared at the paper where he'd written the question haunting him. Who am I? He added a new line. A man nobody wants. A son nobody claims. A father doomed to fail. Just like everyone failed me. The tears came violently. Years of hope collapsing in his chest. Until... A knock came from the door. Chidi opened the door. Not Ikena. Not his mother. Not Oluchi. But, Obina. His eyes carried yesterday's truth. I need to talk to you, Obina said quietly. He stepped inside, shutting the door. What your brother did, it was wrong. And I believe you. Chidi blinked. Obina continued. My sister is a nurse in town. She knows people. We can run a DNA test discreetly. No records. No noise. Just proof. Chidi stared. Why would you help me? Obina swallowed, voice thickening. I had a cousin. She was violated by a powerful man. No one believed her. She didn't survive it. I couldn't save her. He looked up. But maybe I can help you. A spark, small, fragile, lit in Chidi's chest. Not hope. Possibility. What do I do? Chidi asked. Get something with Pan Wokiaka's DNA, Obina said. Hair. Saliva. His walking stick. Anything. 3 days later, the village hall buzzed with the monthly meeting. Pan Wokiaka sat with the elders. Chidi stood at the back. Obina waited near the refreshments. During the break, Pan Wokiaka set down his walking stick. His DNA, sitting right there. Obina created a distraction. Chidi moved in. His hand reached out. Chidi. He froze. Ikena stood a few feet away. Eyes locked on the plastic bag. Don't, Ikena said softly. I must, Chidi answered. You'll make things worse. For who? For you? Pain flickered across Ikena's face. Chidi, I'm asking you, as your brother. You're not my brother. Ikena's breath hitched. But he said nothing. Come here, my boy, Pan Wokiaka called warmly. Ikena turned toward the elder, who smiled at him with fatherly affection he had never shown Chidi. Chidi saw everything clearly then. Ikena had made his choice long ago. While they talked, Chidi acted. Quick. Precise. Invisible. He wiped the handle of the walking stick with the plastic bag, sealing it with trembling hands. Obina met him by the door. Did you get it? Chidi nodded. Then let's go. His phone buzzed as they stepped outside. Oluchi. 3 days. I'll wait. Please, don't let me down. For the first time in days, Chidi's steps felt firm. But behind the hall window, Ikena watched them. He lifted his phone. Typed a message. Not to Chidi. To someone else. Someone dangerous. Someone who benefited if Chidi stayed in the dark forever. Some betrayal scream. Some whisper. But all of them scar. And the scar Ikena was about to carve would be the one that finally broke Chidi. The laboratory was small, tucked into a forgotten corner of the hospital that visitors rarely entered. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, bathing the room in a cold, merciless white. Chidi sat on a plastic chair, his knee bouncing. Across from him, Obina's sister, Adiz, worked with quiet precision. Early 30s, sharp-minded, efficient, but her eyes carried the kind of weary sadness found only in people who had witnessed too much pain. This will take 48 hours, she said as she labeled each sample. Maybe less if I can push it through. 48 hours, Chidi echoed. The words felt impossibly long and terrifyingly short at the same time. In 48 hours, he would have proof. Scientific. Undeniable. Proof that would force acknowledgement. Proof that would give his unborn child a lineage. Proof that would finally answer the question that had shaped his entire life. Are you certain you want this? Adiz asked quietly. Once the truth lands, it cannot be undone. I'm sure, Chitty said. But his hands were trembling. Adiz nodded and continued working. Obina sat beside him, a steady presence in the sterile room. Thank you, Chitty said softly. For everything. You didn't have to. I did, Obina cut in gently. When we ignore injustice, we become part of it. Chitty looked at him, the young man who owed him nothing yet risked everything, and felt something he hadn't felt in years. Not hope. Not yet. But gratitude. When this is over, Chitty began, when the truth comes out. We'll face whatever comes, Obina said. Together. Adiz sealed the final sample and placed it into a secure container. I'll call you the moment the results arrive, she said. Then her voice dropped. But Chitty, be careful. If anyone discovers what you're doing before the results come back, they may try to stop the test. Or destroy it before you can use it. Chitty let out a low, bitter laugh. Who would I tell? I don't have anyone left to tell. The words hung between them, heavier than he intended. As they stepped out of the hospital, the night air felt thick, charged with danger and possibility. Chitty's phone buzzed. Oluchi, 2 days left. I'm praying for you. He replied. 2 days. I'll have proof. I promise. He didn't notice the car parked across the street. Didn't notice the silhouette watching him. Didn't see the person lifting a phone to their ear. Yes, he just left the hospital, the voice whispered. Lab section. Yes. I'm sure. What should I do? A pause. Understood. The call ended. The car drifted away into the darkness. The next day, Pan Wokiaka sat in his parlor, 3 of his sons gathered around him. Grown men, successful, educated, bearing his name with pride. The eldest, Chikwudi, paced furiously. He took your DNA, he snapped. That boy had the audacity to steal your DNA. We don't know that, Pan Wokiaka said, though his voice lacked conviction. We do, Emeka countered. I kinda saw him. And our contact at the hospital confirmed someone matching his description was in the lab with samples. Pan Wokiaka's hand trembled slightly as he lifted his cup of palm wine. 30 years. 30 years of burying the truth. Paying for silence. Threatening those who refused. Watching Chitty from a distance, always ensuring he never saw too much. And now, because of science, because of progress he couldn't control, the past was clawing its way out of its shallow grave. What do you want us to do, father? Chikwudi asked. Pan Wokiaka's silence stretched. If the test is positive, he finally said, everything changes. My reputation. This family's standing. Your inheritances. My entire life's work. Will crumble, Emeka finished. So we stop the test, Chikwudi said simply. Pan Wokiaka's eyes snapped up. How? The technician can be, I persuaded, Chikwudi replied coldly. Everyone has a price. Or a weakness. And if persuasion fails? His sons exchanged a heavy glance. Then we discredit the results, Chikwudi said. Contamination. Falsification. Desperation. People will believe it after his recent behavior. And if he keeps fighting? Pan Wokiaka pressed. Chikwudi's jaw hardened. Then we make it clear that continuing has consequences. For him. For his pregnant girlfriend. For anyone helping him. Pan Wokiaka inhaled sharply. You're talking about? I'm talking about protecting this family, Chikwudi cut in. You taught us that. Legacy before everything. Pan Wokiaka leaned back, face ashen. His teachings were coming home to roost. Do what must be done, he whispered. But no one gets hurt. Do you understand? No violence. Chikwudi nodded, but his eyes told another story. As his sons left, Pan Wokiaka sat alone, haunted by a truth he could no longer outrun. Guilt twisted, but not enough to overpower self-preservation. That night, Chitty couldn't sleep. 36 hours until the results. 36 hours until the truth became something he could hold in his hands. He imagined confronting Pan Wokiaka again, this time with proof. Imagined presenting Oluchi's father with evidence of his lineage. I am Chitty, son of Pan Wokiaka. It should have made him feel triumphant. Instead, he only felt hollow. His phone rang, an unknown number. He almost ignored it. Hello? Chitty. A trembling female voice. This is Adiz. He sat up. What happened? Are the results ready? No. Not yet. But Chitty, someone came to the hospital today. Cold washed through him. He knew about the test, she whispered. He offered me money to destroy the samples. When I refused, he threatened my children. He knows their names. Their school. Chitty's breath caught. Adiz. I'm not calling to blame you, she said. I'm calling to warn you. These people are serious. What about the samples? I hid them, she said. Under a different name. The test is still running. But listen to me, once the results come, move fast. They'll come for you. Why are you still helping me? Chitty whispered. Because my cousin died believing nobody cared about the truth, Adiz said, voice breaking. I won't let that happen again. The call ended. Chitty sat frozen. His phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Drop this investigation. Leave the village. Forget everything. This is your only warning. Fear surged. But anger rose higher. He typed back. I'm not going anywhere. The phone rang immediately. You're making a mistake, a male voice said, calm, dangerous. The only mistake, Chitty replied, was believing I should stay silent. We can pay you, the man said. Take care of your child. Just walk away. I don't want your money. Then what do you want? The truth, Chitty said. My name. You'll get none of those, the man replied. What you'll get is ruined. Chitty said nothing. And that technician? The voice continued. She has a family. A life. Are you prepared to watch her suffer because of your stubbornness? The line went dead. And for the first time, doubt crept in. Would exposing the truth destroy the very people helping him? The next morning, Obinna saw Chitty's face and immediately understood. They threatened you, he said. Chitty nodded and explained everything. I can't keep doing this, he said. Not if innocent people will suffer. Obinna leaned forward. Chitty, this was never just about you. Then what is it about? Justice, Obinna said. For your mother. For you. For anyone else that man may have hurt. Silence doesn't protect people, it protects predators. Before Chitty could answer, his phone buzzed. Adiz, results ready. Back entrance. 3 p.m. Chitty and Obinna exchanged a look. This is it, Obinna said. 3 p.m. At the hospital's back entrance, Adiz waited, eyes red, hands trembling, holding a sealed envelope. I made 3 copies, she said. 1 for you. 1 hidden. 1 sent to a lawyer. Thank you, Chitty whispered. He broke the seal. Read the numbers. Read the conclusion. And the world stilled. Probability of paternity, 99.97%. Conclusion, Panwokiaka Obi is the biological father of Chitty. Obinna exhaled shakily. You have it. Chitty folded the paper, his voice steady. Now we go back to the village. And he tells the truth. In front of everyone. But as Chitty walked out of the hospital with the truth burning in his pocket, he didn't know one thing. Panwokiaka's sons had already moved. The plan was already in motion. And the road back to the village would not be safe. Some secrets are defended with more than lies. Some reputations are protected with blood. And some truths demand a price that can never be fully paid. The bus rumbled along the dusty highway, carrying Chitty back to the place where his story began. Back to the village that watched him grow but never claimed him. Back to the man whose DNA now confirmed what everyone had whispered for decades. He sat by the window, the sealed envelope containing 3 copies of the DNA results pressed to his chest beneath his shirt. Obinna sat beside him, quiet, alert, studying every passenger like the seat was a battlefield. You don't have to come with me, Chitty said for the 3rd time. I know, Obinna replied. I came anyway. Chitty's phone buzzed. Oluchi, where are you? My father is asking for the proof. Tomorrow is the deadline. He typed, I have it. I'm bringing it tonight. Everything will be okay. But even as he sent the message, doubt gnawed at him. Would anything ever be okay? A second message arrived from an unknown number. Turn around. Last chance. He showed it to Obinna. They're tracking you, Obinna said. They know you're coming. Good, Chitty said. I'm done hiding. The bus slowed as familiar sights rolled by, the old market, the church, the Irako tree where elders gathered. Home. Except it had never truly been home. When they stepped off the bus, whispers rose instantly. That's him. The one who accused Panwokiaka. His own brother said he was lying. Chitty kept his head high and walked toward Panwokiaka's compound, Obinna at his side. But as they rounded the corner, he stopped cold. A large crowd was gathered outside the elder's compound. Defensive. Ready. Panwokiaka's son stood shoulder to shoulder at the gate, flanked by young men from the village, human barricades. Chitty, a woman hissed. Maman Karuka rushed toward him, fear etched deep in her face. What are you doing here? They've been waiting for you. They know about the test. How? Someone from the hospital called them, she whispered urgently. They know you have proof. Chitty's jaw tightened. Someone had betrayed them. Despite Adiz's precautions. Despite the secrecy. You need to leave, she urged. Before what? Chitty snapped. Before I speak the truth? Before he acknowledges what he did. Before they hurt you. Let them try, Chitty said, gently removing her hand. I didn't come this far to run. He walked toward the compound. Obina stayed close. Chikwudi, the eldest son, stepped forward. You're not welcome here. I don't need to be welcome, Chidi replied. I need to speak to your father. He has nothing to say to you. Then I'll say it for him, Chidi declared, raising his voice for all to hear. I have proof. Scientific proof that Pan Wokiaka is my biological father. Gasps spread through the crowd. You have lies, Chikwudi spat. Tests can be bought. Then let him take another test, Chidi challenged. Right now. With everyone watching. The crowd murmured. If he's lying, the test will show it. What are they afraid of? Chikwudi stiffened. Show us the documents, someone shouted. Yes. Show us. Chidi reached for the envelope. Chikwudi lunged. But Obina intercepted him, calm as stone. Touch him, Obina said, and everyone here will see it. The tension crackled. Until a voice sliced through it. Enough. The crowd parted as Pan Wokiaka emerged, leaning on his walking stick. Older. Weaker. But still powerful in presence. Let him speak, he said. His sons protested. He silenced them with a glance. You claim to have proof, he said. Show it. Chidi opened the envelope, his hand steady despite the storm inside him. This test shows a 99.97% probability you are my biological father. A suffocating silence fell. Pan Wokiaka stared at the paper, unread. Then he laughed. Not cruelly. Worse, dismissively. You think a paper gives you a family? A name? His eyes hardened. Biology does not make you my son. The words hit like a physical blow. I have 5 sons, he continued, gesturing behind him. Sons who carry my name with honor. You. He pointed at Chidi with his stick. You are the result of a mistake. A moment of weakness. Nothing more. Chidi's voice shook. You forced yourself on my mother. I did nothing of the sort, Pan Wokiaka said. Your mother knew what she was doing. And when the consequences came, she tried to trap me. That's a lie. Is it? He turned to the crowd. Aora was free in those days. Who knows if I was the only one? The crowd rippled with uncertainty. Chidi felt the ground tilt. This was the elder's weapon, not denial, but character assassination. My mother was 17, Chidi said. You were 40. Married. Respected. And you? Even if every accusation is true, Pan Wokiaka cut in, what changes? Will I claim you? No. Will this village embrace you? No. He stepped closer. You want truth? Fine. His voice dropped, dark and steady. Every time I saw you as a child, I saw my own shame. So I erased you. I let another man raise you. I watched you suffer and did nothing. The admission hit harder than any denial ever could. Chidi felt the last piece of himself fracture. At least you're finally honest, he whispered. Honesty changes nothing, Pan Wokiaka said. You came here for acknowledgement. For acceptance. I will never give you those things. He snatched the test from Chidi's hand and tore it in half. Then again. And again. You may have proof, he said. But I have power. He turned and walked away. The crowd began to disperse, some whispering, some pitying him, some shaking their heads. Obina gathered the torn pieces. You still have 2 copies, he murmured. But Chidi barely heard him. He stood alone in the village square. The place of his childhood, of his rejection. Now the site of his final erasure. His phone vibrated. Oluchi, did you get the proof? My father is waiting. He stared at the message. Proof. Torn proof. Proof that proved everything, and fixed nothing. Chidi sat on the floor surrounded by remnants of his search. The torn DNA result. His childhood scribbles of who am I? His phone buzzing with messages. Oluchi requesting the proof. Ikena saying I warned you. Unknown numbers telling him he deserved this. Obina had offered to stay, but Chidi sent him away. He needed silence. He picked up a pen. I found my father today. He rejected me anyway. The truth didn't free me. It buried me. What do I tell my child? How do I give them a lineage when mine was torn and thrown into the dirt? Question after question poured out. Until the oldest returned. Who am I? He wrote it again. And again. His phone rang, Oluchi's father. Then Oluchi. Her message followed. If you can't provide proper documentation by tomorrow, we have to end this. I'm sorry, Chidi. I can't do this alone. Then another. The baby deserves stability. A family. Things you can't give. He read it 3 times. Things he couldn't give. Because he had nothing. No name. No lineage. No place. He picked up the pen again. Under all the repeated questions, he wrote. Nobody. I am nobody. He didn't know that miles away, in his own dark room, Pan Wokiaka was staring at something too. A small torn fragment of the DNA test. The one he pretended to destroy entirely. The piece that proved Chitty's blood. And for the first time in 30 years, the elder felt something he had buried long ago. Regret. Not enough to claim his son. Not enough to undo the damage. But enough to wonder if, in erasing Chitty, he had also erased a part of himself. And as both men sat alone in their separate darkness, neither knowing the other's pain, the final act of this tragedy had already begun. Chitty stopped answering his phone. The calls came, Obinna checking on him, Oluchi's final goodbye, even Adiz asking if he was alright. He let them all ring. Because what was he supposed to say? That finding the truth had shattered him? That being right had changed nothing? That knowing his father had somehow made him feel more fatherless than ever? The room grew darker each day. Not because the sun stopped shining, but because Chitty stopped opening the curtains. He lay on his mattress, staring at the ceiling, replaying the confrontation over and over. You are the result of a mistake. I choose not to. Belonging isn't written in blood. Each sentence was a stone buried in his chest. Breathing became labor. Food lost its taste. Water felt heavy. Even sleep, his last escape, came in fragments, full of locked doors and torn papers. Mrs. Adana knocked on his door the second day. Chitty? I haven't seen you. Are you eating? No response. She came back the next day. And the next. Each knock softer. Each plea heavier. Please, just let me know you're alive. He wanted to answer. Wanted to lie and say he was fine. But the words wouldn't come. Because he wasn't fine. And he was starting to wonder if he'd ever been. News of the confrontation spread like harmattan fire. Some said Chitty had forged the DNA results. Others whispered that Pan Wokiaka had confessed privately but refused responsibility. The village split, those defending the elder's honor, and those who recognized a powerful man escaping consequences again. But most people simply moved on. Children played. Women cooked. The sun rose and fell. One man's fractured identity didn't stop life. In Pan Wokiaka's compound, the silence was sharp. The elder sat in his chair, staring at nothing. His sons came and went, proud. The boy has gone quiet, Chikwudi said. No more accusations. I think he finally knows his place. Pan Wokiaka nodded vaguely. But later that night, he took out the torn fragment of the DNA result, the percentage, 99.97%. 30 years he'd outrun that truth. 30 years building walls between himself and the consequence of one terrible choice. But now, holding that tiny scrap of paper, the truth cornered him. Chitty was his son. His blood. His responsibility. And he'd rejected him, not because he doubted the truth, but because accepting it would cost too much. His reputation. His image. His carefully crafted life. He had chosen all of that over a boy who had done nothing wrong except exist. For the first time in decades, guilt sat heavy on his chest. Not enough to change his decision. But enough to keep him awake. The knock was different, firmer, urgent. Chitty, it's Obinna. I know you're in there. Please open the door. I'm not leaving until you talk. The corridor was empty, silent, but for the soft voice of a man refusing to leave. Obinna waited. Chitty barely breathed behind the door. I'll wait, he said softly. Inside, Chitty heard every word. The concern. The frustration. The loyalty. But he couldn't move. Couldn't face someone who still believed he mattered. Because mattering required strength. And Chitty had none left. Hours passed. Obinna didn't leave. Finally, as evening shadows stretched across the hallway, a cracked whisper came through the door. Why are you still here? Relief washed over Obinna's face. Because you're my friend, he said. And friends don't abandon each other. Everyone else did. I'm not everyone else. A quiet click, the lock turning. The door opened. Obinna's breath caught. Chitty looked like a ghost wearing his own skin. Weight lost. Eyes hollow. Clothes hanging loosely. Skin pale from days without sunlight. He looked like a man disappearing. Chitty, I'm tired, he murmured. So tired. Obinna stepped inside. The room was chaos, scattered papers, empty bottles, an unmade mattress. On the table, a sheet covered in desperate scribbles. Who am I? Who am I? Who am I? Obinna's voice softened. When last did you eat? Chitty shrugged. I don't remember. Come on, let's. I'm not hungry. You need to eat. Why? Chitty asked, not angrily, but honestly. Why keep going? For what? Obinna sat beside him. For your child, he said gently. Your baby is coming in a few months. They will need you. A father who's nobody. Chitty whispered. With no name to give them? No family? What kind of father is that? The kind who loves them, Obinna said. The kind who doesn't repeat the mistakes done to him. But nothing changed, Chitty broke. I did everything. I found the truth. I proved it. Confronted him. and nothing changed. He slid down to the floor, back against the wall. Do you know what hurts the most? He was right. Belonging isn't written in blood, it's written by the people who choose you. And nobody chooses me, Obina. Nobody ever has. I choose you, Obina said. Adiz chose you. Mom and Karuka chose you. People who barely know me, Chitty said bitterly. But the ones who should have chosen me? Both fathers. My mother. My brother. The woman carrying my child. The village. They all looked at me and decided I wasn't worth it. Tears slipped down his face. How do I keep going when everyone who should love me, left? Obina had no answer. He simply sat beside him. Let me help, he whispered. Let me carry some of this with you. Silence stretched. Then Chitty whispered. I'm afraid. Of what? That I'll become him. That I'll look at my child and see only my pain. That I'll pass this curse to another generation. You won't, Obina said firmly. How do you know? Because you're terrified of becoming him, Obina replied. Men like Pa Nwokiaka don't fear becoming bad fathers. They just are. But you? You're thinking, worrying, breaking, that alone makes you different. Chitty wanted to believe him. But belief required hope. And hope was gone. That night, Obina convinced him to eat a little. To shower. To open the curtains. Small steps. But after Obina left, the darkness crept back. Chitty lay on his mattress, staring at his phone. Oluchi's final message blinked at him. I care about you. But I need stability for the baby. Things you can't give us. He typed a reply he'd never send. I tried to give you everything. I'm sorry I failed. He deleted it. What was the point? Everyone had chosen their path, and none of their paths led toward him. He picked up the paper covered in scribbles. Under, nobody. I am nobody. He wrote. Maybe nobody is all I'll ever be. Maybe some people are born searching for belonging, and never find it. Maybe I should stop fighting what the world keeps telling me. I don't belong anywhere. His hand trembled. I'm tired of fighting. Tired of hoping. Tired of pretending tomorrow will be different. What if this emptiness is my only inheritance? He closed his eyes. Memories flickered. The compound where he grew up. Okafor turning away. Adaora disappearing. Ikena leaving. The village tearing his proof. Oluchi ending their future. A lifetime of almosts. A lifetime of rejection. A lifetime of searching for a place to stand, and finding none. His breath thinned. Not from panic. From exhaustion. The kind that whispers that rest, real rest, might be the only escape. He thought about his child. Would they be better off without him? Without his namelessness, his pain, his burden? The thought spiraled. Darker. Deeper. He wasn't thinking about the future anymore. Only the present. Only the quiet. Only the idea of stopping. His phone buzzed. He ignored it. Buzzed again. And again. Finally he looked. Obina. I know tonight is hard. Just get through tonight. Tomorrow we'll figure out a plan. You are not alone, Chitty. Please answer. Chitty stared. This man who barely knew him cared more than people who'd known him forever. It should have helped. But it only made him feel guilty. He typed. I'm okay. Thank you. You're a good friend. He sent it anyway. He turned off the phone, lay back down, and stared into the darkness. Tomorrow, he would have to choose. Fight or surrender. Hope or numbness. Existence or escape. But tonight, he just wanted silence. Wanted the ache to stop. Wanted to feel nothing. Outside, the city kept moving, indifferent. Inside, one man lay still, closer to giving up than ever. And the question he'd written 100 times, who am I? Was dissolving into a darker one. Does it even matter? As sleep finally pulled him under, Chitty didn't know. Tomorrow a visitor was coming. Someone he never expected. Someone with words that could save him. Or break him completely. Chitty woke to knocking. Not Mrs. Adana's soft, worried tapping. Not Obina's persistent pounding. This was different. Hesitant. Knock, pause, as if the person behind the door wasn't sure they should be there at all. For a moment, he considered ignoring it. Pretending he was asleep. Pretending he had vanished. Pretending he had finally become what he felt like inside, gone. But something about that rhythm pulled him upright. His body protested as he stood, every muscle stiff from days of barely moving. He shuffled toward the door, opened it a crack. And froze. Ikena stood there. His brother. The man who betrayed him in the village square. The last person Chitty wanted, expected, or had strength to face. They stared at each other through the narrow opening. Ikena looked different, smaller somehow. His shirt wrinkled, his eyes swollen, his usually perfect appearance undone by nights of unrest. I know you don't want to see me, he said quietly. But please, just give me 5 minutes. Chitty's first instinct was to slam the door. To say every bitter word pulsing in his chest. To make Ikenna feel even 1% of what his betrayal had cost. But he was too exhausted to fight. He stepped back, and the door swung open on its own. Ikenna entered slowly, as if expecting the walls themselves to reject him. He took in the room, the papers scattered like broken thoughts, the unmade mattress, the stale air of a man unraveling. His face tightened. "Chitty," he whispered. "What have they done to you? What have they done?" Chitty's voice was hollow. "You were there, Ikenna. You helped them do it." Ikenna flinched like he'd been slapped. "I know," he said. "I know what I did. And I came here to..." "To what?" Chitty cut in. "Apologize? Explain? Make yourself feel better?" "To tell you the truth," Ikenna said. Chitty laughed. A dry, broken sound. "The truth. Everyone keeps talking about truth as if it frees people. It doesn't. It only shows you exactly how trapped you are." "Please," Ikenna murmured. "Just listen." Chitty sank onto the edge of his mattress, too tired to stand, too tired to care. "Fine. 5 minutes." Ikenna didn't sit. He didn't dare. "That day in the village," he began. "When I accused you of lying, I lied. I know you lied." "No," Ikenna said. "I mean, I knew you were telling the truth. I've always known." Chitty's head snapped up. "What?" Ikenna's hands trembled. "When we were kids, maybe 10 and 12, I overheard Okafor and Mama arguing. He was drunk. He said that every time he looked at you, he saw Pan Wokieka. That you had his eyes. His mannerisms. That pretending you were his son made him sick." The silence in the room deepened. "You knew," Chitty breathed. "All this time, you knew." "I didn't understand then," Ikenna said desperately. "And when I grew older, I convinced myself I misheard. That it wasn't real. That it was anger, not truth." "But you knew," Chitty repeated, voice rising. "When I was searching. When I was breaking. When I was begging for answers, you knew and you said nothing. I was protecting my life." Ikenna burst out. "Do you understand? Your truth would have destroyed everything I built. Okafor's name opened doors for me. My job, my reputation, my identity, everything depended on it. If people knew my brother was Pan Wokieka's bastard." He stopped, realizing what he'd said. Chitty stood slowly. "Bastard," he echoed softly. "That's what I am to you." "No, I didn't mean." "You meant exactly that," Chitty said. "I'm an inconvenience. A stain. A threat to your perfect life." "Chitty, you're my brother," Ikenna said, tears slipping now. "You've always been my brother." "Brothers don't betray each other," Chitty said. "Brothers don't stand in the village square and call each other liars to protect powerful men." "I know," Ikenna whispered. "And I hate myself for it. Do you think I've slept since then? Every night I see your face." "Good," Chitty said coldly. "You should." Ikenna sank into the single chair, head in his hands. "I went back to Enugu after that day," he said quietly. "Tried to return to normal. But nothing felt right. Every achievement felt fake. Every time someone called me Okafor's son, I felt sick." He looked up. "So I went back to the village. To Pan Wokieka's house." Chitty's heart thudded. "What did you say to him?" "I told him I knew the truth. Told him what he did to you was unforgivable." "And what did he say?" Ikenna's expression darkened. "He offered me money. A lot. To stay quiet. To talk you into disappearing." The room stilled. "And what did you do?" "I told him to go to hell," Ikenna said. "I told him you deserved acknowledgement. And that I would stand with you, publicly, if that's what you want." Chitty searched his brother's face for lies. For excuses. For hidden motives. But all he saw was remorse, raw and honest. "Why now?" Chitty asked. "Why come after the damage is done?" "Because I saw what my silence cost you," Ikenna said. "Obinna called. Told me you weren't eating. Weren't answering. That you were..." He stopped, voice cracking. "Dying," Chitty finished. "Not physically. Just, inside. That's why I'm here," Ikenna said urgently. "To say you're not alone. I choose you, Chitty. Over Okafor. Over reputation. Over everything." They were the words Chitty had ached to hear his whole life. But they came years too late. "You choosing me now doesn't change anything," Chitty murmured. "Pan Wokieka still rejects me. Mama still hides. Oluchi still left. The village still erases me. Your apology doesn't fix 30 years." "I know," Ikenna said softly. "But maybe it can start something." "There is no we," Chitty whispered. "There's just me. Like always." He thrust a sheet of paper toward Ikenna. "The one covered with endless scribbles of who am I?" "Look," Chitty said. "Look at what your silence helped create." Ikenna read it. His face crumpled. "Chitty, I'm so sorry. For everything. Chitty could not bear any more emotion. Any more truth. Any more regret. I need you to leave, he said quietly. Chitty, please. Ikenna swallowed hard, then nodded. I'll go. But I'm not giving up on you. I'll be at the hotel down the street. When you're ready, if you're ever ready, I'll be here. He hesitated, then took something from his pocket. One more thing, he said, placing an envelope on the table. It's from Mama. Chitty stiffened. She's been carrying it for years, Ikenna added. Waiting for the right time. There's never a right time for her, Chitty murmured. Maybe, Ikenna said. But it's yours now. Whether you read it or not. He opened the door. I love you, brother. I know I failed you. But I do. Then he was gone. And Chitty was alone again. Chitty stared at the envelope. His mother's handwriting. To my son, Chitty. Not just Chitty. But my son. For a long time he only held it, feeling its weight, far heavier than paper should be. Finally, he opened it. Chitty read it once. Then again. Then a third time. Different lines cut deeper each time. You are worthy. It is not your fault. You are my son. I am sorry. Tears blurred the ink. He wanted to stay angry, anger was familiar. But beneath it, something fragile stirred. A crack in the wall. A whisper of light. Possibility. His phone buzzed. Obina, checking on you. Please respond. Chitty typed back slowly. I'm here. Still breathing. A reply came instantly. Obina, never leaving you. We'll face this together. Chitty looked around the room again, the mess, the questions, the chaos. It was still there. But for the first time, he could imagine cleaning it up, not out of strength, but out of the smallest thing, the willingness to try. The city moved on outside. But inside that dim room, something shifted. Not healed. Not yet. But shifted. The man who'd been disappearing was beginning, slowly, to return. And he didn't know it yet, but 2 more visitors were on their way. One with an offer he never expected. And one with a truth that would shatter everything one last time. Because this story wasn't over. The breaking had happened. Now came the choice. Stay broken. Or build something new. Chitty had opened the curtains. A small thing, insignificant to anyone else, but monumental for him. Sunlight poured into the room, illuminating floating dust and casting long shadows over the papers he'd begun to sort. He wasn't healed. Wasn't whole. But he was functioning. Eating the small meals Obina brought. Showering. Responding to a few messages. Existing again, even if shakily. Ikenna texted every day. I'm still here. Whenever you're ready. No pressure. I just want you to know I'm not leaving. Saw a job posting that might interest you. Sending the link. Chitty rarely replied. But he read every single one. And that alone was progress. 3 days after Ikenna's visit, a knock sounded at the door. Not Obina's easy rhythm. Not Ikenna's hesitant tapping. This knock was formal. Professional. Certain. Chitty opened the door to find a well-dressed man in his 50s, traditional attire crisp, a leather briefcase in hand. Chitty Okafor? The man asked. Yes, Chitty answered cautiously. The man extended his hand. Barrister Okonkwo. I'm a lawyer from the city. May I come in? I have an important matter to discuss with you. Chitty's stomach tightened. Lawyers meant trouble. Had Panwokiaka decided to sue him? Force him to retract the DNA results? Silence him? What is this about? Chitty asked, still blocking the doorway. It's about your paternity case, the lawyer replied. And a proposition that may interest you. Curiosity won. Chitty stepped aside. Barrister Okonkwo entered, eyes sweeping the small room with a mix of professionalism and something else, sympathy, perhaps. Respect, even. Please, sit, Chitty said. The lawyer settled into the single chair, opened his briefcase, and began without preamble. I represent a client who wishes to remain anonymous for now. This client has been following your situation closely. What situation? Chitty asked, though he already knew. Your search for identity. Your confrontation with Panwokiaka. The DNA test. The village uproar. He placed a folder on the table. Word travels. Chitty's jaw tightened. So someone wants to mock me? Exploit me? Quite the opposite, Barrister Okonkwo said gently. Someone wants to help you. How? The lawyer opened the folder and laid out several documents. My client is offering you 3 options. He gestured to the first document. Option 1, financial compensation. A substantial sum, enough to relocate, start over, provide for your child, and leave every painful memory behind. Chitty stared at the figure. It was more money than he'd ever imagined touching. Option 2, legal action. Full funding for a lawsuit against Panwokiaka, paternal abandonment, emotional damages, denial of inheritance rights. With the DNA results and witnesses, we have a strong case. We could force legal acknowledgement. Chitty's breath caught. To be recognized, not because Pan Wokiaka wanted to, but because the law demanded it. And option 3, the lawyer's voice softened. My client is willing to adopt you. Silence swallowed the room. Adopt me? Chitty repeated. Legally adopt you as an adult son, the lawyer confirmed. It grants you a family name, rights, a lineage for your own child. Unusual, but entirely possible. Chitty's mind spun. Why would anyone do this? Because they know what erasure feels like, Barrister Okonkwo said simply. And they refuse to let you endure it any longer. I need to know who they are. And you will. But only after you've considered which option calls to you. Or if you prefer none. He handed Chitty a business card and stood. My client is elderly. In good health today, but time is not limitless. When you're ready, day or night, call me. He paused at the door. Whatever you choose, Chitty, choose for yourself. Not because of your mother's guilt or your father's cruelty. You deserve a future that belongs to you. Then he left. Obinna walked in minutes later and froze at the sight of the documents. What's all this? Chitty explained. The anonymous client. The options. The adoption. Obinna whistled low. Someone wants to adopt you? Wow. I don't know who it is, Chitty murmured. How do I trust that? Maybe the point isn't who they are, Obinna said thoughtfully. Maybe the point is what you need. Chitty picked up the compensation document. I could take this money. Start over. Give my child a better life. You could. He touched the lawsuit papers. I could fight. Make him acknowledge me. Make him pay. You could. Then he picked up the adoption document. Or, let someone choose me. But is that real? Or just another false identity? Family isn't blood, Obinna said quietly. It's who shows up. I'm not your brother by blood, but I'd fight for you. And I will. Chitty swallowed hard. I don't know what to choose. Then don't choose today, Obinna said. Heal first. A knock interrupted them. Obinna opened the door. Ikenna stood there, holding a bag of food. I brought lunch, he said softly. If I'm welcome. Chitty hesitated only a moment, then nodded. Come in. Relief flooded Ikenna's face. He joined them at the table. When he saw the documents, his eyes widened. Someone wants to adopt you? That's incredible. Is it? Chitty asked. Or is it another erasure? It's not erasure if you choose it, Ikenna said quietly. You've lived your whole life being defined by other people's decisions. Maybe this is your chance to define yourself. They ate in silence until Ikenna spoke again. Whatever you choose, he said, voice thick, I'll support you. If you want to sue him, I'll testify. If you take the money, I'll help you start fresh. If you accept the adoption, I'll still be your brother. If you'll have me. Chitty looked at him. You hurt me. I know. Deeply. I know. And one apology doesn't fix it. I know, Ikenna whispered. But showing up, every day, maybe that can start something. Even if it takes years. Chitty nodded. Not forgiveness. But acknowledgement. Enough for now. After they left, Chitty reread the documents. Money. Justice. Family. 3 futures. 3 different ways of becoming himself. A knock startled him. He opened the door to an elderly woman leaning on a cane, eyes sharp and warm. Chitty, she asked. Yes? She smiled, a familiar smile he couldn't place. I'm the one who sent the lawyer, she said. May I come in? It's time we met. Chitty's heart thudded. She entered and sat with dignified calm. My name is Mama Chioma, she said. I am your father's elder sister. Silence slammed into the room. Pan Wokiaka's sister? Yes. Though we haven't spoken in over 20 years, not since I confronted him about what he did to your mother. She handed him an old photograph, 2 children, a boy and a girl. The boy had Chitty's eyes. You look like him, she whispered. And it breaks my heart. Not because of the resemblance, but because of what he became. She took a shaky breath. I've lived with guilt for 3 decades. Searching for you. Wondering what became of you. And when I heard what happened at the village square, I knew I had to act. Tears touched her eyes. I am dying, Chitty. Cancer. Months left, maybe. I cannot face God knowing my brother's sin destroyed your life and I stood aside. Chitty's voice trembled. So you want to adopt me out of guilt? No, she said firmly. I want to adopt you because you deserve a family. Because my brother failed you, but I refuse to. Because I have no children, and loving you would be an honor. Not an obligation. She gestured to the documents. Take my name. Or take the money. Or take the fight. Whatever you choose, I will support it. Her voice softened. But I want you to know this, I see you. I acknowledge you. And I am sorry. Deeply, truly sorry. Tears slid down Chitty's cheeks. For the first time in his life, he wasn't begging to be chosen. He was being offered choice. I need time, he whispered. Of course, Mama Chioma said. She stood, leaning on her cane. But remember this, Chitty, you are not a mistake. You are not a burden. You are not invisible. You are a son. You always deserve to be one. She reached the door, paused, and added. Tomorrow, someone else will come. Someone whose words may help you decide. Who? Chitty asked. Her smile was soft and mysterious. You'll see. She left. Chitty stood in the quiet room, surrounded by papers, a photograph, and possibility. For the first time, he wasn't searching for scraps of belonging. He was choosing between abundance. Choosing who he wanted to become. And he had no idea that the visitor coming tomorrow would not be there to talk about his past, but about his future. And the truth they carried would change everything, one last time. Chitty woke with purpose for the first time in weeks. He showered properly. Shaved. Put on clean clothes. Small acts of self-care, yet they felt monumental after days of drifting like a ghost. Today, he would meet Oluchi. Today, they would talk about their child, about the possibility of a future. Today felt like a beginning. He was about to leave when a knock sounded, sharp, urgent, insistent. He opened the door to find Ikenna standing there, pale and strained. We need to talk, Ikenna said. Now. Before you meet Oluchi. Before you make any decisions. Something in his tone made Chitty's stomach tighten. What is it? Can I come in? Chitty stepped aside. Ikenna walked in and began pacing like a trapped animal, running a hand through his hair. After I saw Mrs. Chidinma, after I told her about everything, she told me something. Something she begged me not to repeat unless I was absolutely certain. Certain of what? Ikenna stopped pacing. The weight in his eyes froze Chitty where he stood. I went back to the village yesterday, Ikenna said softly. I needed to verify what she told me. I spoke to Mama and Karuka, and to the older women who were there when you were born. He swallowed hard. Chitty, there's more to the story. Something even Mama and Karuka didn't tell you. Cold spread through Chitty's chest. What are you talking about? Ikenna took a breath. Pan Wokiaka isn't your only biological parent in that village. Chitty frowned. I know that. Mama is. Not just Mama, Ikenna cut in. There's someone else. Someone who's been in the village your entire life. Someone who watched you grow. Someone who... His voice broke. Say it, Chitty demanded. Ikenna closed his eyes. Neoma, he whispered. Neoma is your biological mother. The world tilted. What? Adaora isn't your birth mother, Ikenna said, the words tumbling out now. Neoma is. She was 16 when Pan Wokiaka forced himself on her. When she got pregnant, her family hid the shame. They made a deal with Adaora's family. Chitty's legs buckled. He sat heavily on the bed. No, he whispered. That's not possible. Adaora was pregnant with me, Ikenna continued. The arrangement was simple, Neoma would give birth in secret, and Adaora would claim both babies as her own. 2 babies, 1 mother. Enough to silence questions. Chitty's heartbeat roared in his ears. But, Mama. Adaora loved you, Ikenna said. But when Neoma married Okafor later and moved into that compound, she couldn't stand seeing you. Not because you weren't hers, but because you were. Every memory shifted violently. Neoma's coldness. Her hostility. Her sharp eyes filled with something like hatred, and something like pain. She gave me away, Chitty whispered. Then made me suffer in the same house. She was 16. Traumatized. Manipulated by the elders, Ikenna said gently. They convinced her that giving you up protected both of you. Chitty's eyes burned. Does she know I know about Pan Wokiaka? Yes. And that's why I'm here. Because? Chitty, Neoma came to me yesterday. She said if you're willing, she wants to tell you everything herself. Publicly. Rage surged through Chitty, sudden and blistering. Now? After 30 years? After watching me beg for love she could have given? After letting me grow up thinking I was the mistake? Now she wants to speak. I know. You don't know. Chitty shouted. You have no idea what it was like waking up every day in that house, treated like contamination, when all along she was my mother. Ikenna swallowed. She's dying, Chitty. The words sliced through the room. What? Cancer, Ikenna said softly. Stage 4. 3 months at most. She doesn't want to die with this secret. Chitty let out a short, broken laugh. So this is about her peace. Her conscience. He turned to the window, chest heaving. What about my peace, Ikenna? What about the 30 years I spent asking why I wasn't good enough? Ikenna stepped closer. I'm not asking you to forgive her. I'm telling you she wants to face you. And the choice is yours. Chitty's hands trembled. Where is she? At the village. Okafor's compound. She's there with the elders. And if I don't come? Then she dies with the truth, Ikenna said quietly. And you'll never know the full story. A long silence passed. Chitty thought about Oluchi waiting for him. About their child. About the life he had just begun to imagine. Part of him wanted to walk away. Another part, the wounded boy who spent years asking why, still needed answers. Tell her I'll come, Chitty said at last. But I'm coming for me. For my child. For the truth. Not for her. 2 hours later. The compound was full. Not just family, but half the village, drawn by the promise of a confession 30 years buried. Whispers followed Chitty as he walked in with Ikenna and Obina beside him. That's him. The one who confronted Pa Nwokiaka. What's he doing here? I heard today is the truth. At the center, beneath the old guava tree, Neoma waited. She looked hollow, cancer having carved out the strength she once carried. But her eyes, once sharp with hostility, now held only regret and fear. Mrs. Chidinma sat beside her. Adeora too. Several elders watched solemnly. Pa Nwokiaka was nowhere to be seen. Neoma rose slowly as Chitty approached. Mother and son. Stranger and stranger. Bound by a truth neither could escape. Thank you for coming, she whispered. Chitty said nothing. She turned to the crowd. I called this gathering because I have lived with a lie for 30 years. A lie that hurt a child who deserved love. Silence rippled across the compound. When I was 16, Neoma continued, Pa Nwokiaka forced himself on me. I became pregnant. My family hid the shame. Adeora's family agreed to claim the child. Her voice cracked. I thought giving him away would free me. But it imprisoned me. Every time I saw him, every time he looked at me with that man's eyes, I buried my guilt by treating him with cruelty. Tears fell freely now. Chitty, I am your biological mother. And I am sorry. Deeply, shamefully sorry. Chitty's chest tightened. He forced himself to speak. Why now? Why after everything? Because I was a coward, she whispered. Because I put my pain above your existence. She reached into her wrapper and handed him a folded envelope. These are your legal documents. Medical records. DNA confirmation. Everything proving who you are. I kept them hidden for 30 years. Chitty took it with shaking hands. Does this fix anything? He asked bitterly. No, Neoma said. Nothing can fix what I did. But you deserve the truth. You deserve to know where you come from. Adeora stood then, voice trembling. When I held you, you became mine, she said. Not by blood, but by choice. And I have always loved you. Even when I didn't know how to show it. The two women, one who birthed him, one who raised him, stood side by side like two halves of a broken truth. Mrs. Chidinma rose. This village must decide, she said. Do we keep protecting men like Pa Nwokiaka, or do we stand with the victims? A murmur ran through the crowd. Chitty looked at the documents. At Neoma begging for forgiveness. At Adeora trembling. At Mrs. Chidinma offering hope. At Ikenna, his brother in truth if not in blood. At Obina, his constant support. He saw the full, painful picture at last. He had spent his whole life asking who am I? But maybe the real question was whose am I? And the answer was complex. He was Neoma's son, born in trauma. Adeora's son, raised in love and silence. Pa Nwokiaka's son, marked by violence. Mrs. Chidinma's potential son, offered a future. Ikenna's brother, bonded by truth. Oluchi's partner, the father of a child yet unborn. He was all of them. And more. Thank you for the truth, he said, voice shaking. I don't know if I can forgive you. But I release you, for my sake, not yours. I'm done carrying pain that does not belong to me. He turned to the crowd. My child will know the truth. Because they deserve to know they come from survivors. And I choose to break the cycle. Chitty turned away and walked toward the gate. Not fleeing. Not defeated. Just, free. His phone buzzed. A message from Oluchi. I'm at the cafe. Waiting for you. Ready to talk about our future. Chitty exhaled and kept walking. For the first time in his life, he wasn't walking away from something. He was walking toward something. Toward fatherhood. Toward love. Toward a future not built on shame. But as he reached the main road, a figure stepped out of the shadows. Someone who had been at the gathering. Someone who had not spoken. Someone who now had something they needed to say. Before Chitty left the village forever. Chitty was halfway to the main road when he heard footsteps behind him. Quick. Urgent. Heavy. He turned, expecting Ikenna or Obina. Instead, Pa Nwokiaka stood there. Breathing hard. Leaning on his walking stick. Shoulders sagging in a way Chitty had never seen. For a long, brittle moment, father and son just stared. Oppressor and victim. Past and present. Two histories colliding on a dusty road. I heard what you said back there, Pan Wokieka rasped. About not needing acknowledgement. About choosing your own identity. Then you know there's nothing left to say, Chidi replied, turning away. Wait. The word wasn't loud. But it carried weight, thin, cracking, almost a plea. Chidi froze. When he turned, the old man looked stripped bare. Smaller. Like guilt had finally eaten through the armor he'd worn for decades. I won't ask for forgiveness, Pan Wokieka said. I don't deserve it. What I did to Neoma, to Adiora, to you, there's no forgiveness for that. Then why are you here? Because there is something you must know, he whispered. My rejection of you was never about you being unworthy. It was about me being too much of a coward to face what I'd done. He took a slow, painful step forward. Every time I looked at you, I saw my sin. My weakness. My abuse of power. And instead of taking responsibility, I tried to erase the evidence. His voice broke. I tried to erase you. Tears filled his eyes. But you couldn't be erased. You survived. You became a man despite everything I took from you. And now, you're about to become a father. He brought out a small wooden box. This belonged to my father, and his father before him. I gave it to Chikwudi years ago, but it was never his. It was always yours. Chidi stared at the box without touching it. I don't want your heirlooms. Or your guilt. Or your name. I just wanted you to see me. To acknowledge that I mattered. I see you now, the old man whispered. You are my son. My firstborn. The living proof of my greatest shame and my greatest failure. That's still about you, Chidi said, stepping closer. That's not acknowledgement. That's self-pity. He drew in a steady breath. I am not your shame. I am not your failure. I am a man who survived you. A father-to-be who will love his child the way you never loved me. And yet, something in him softened. He reached out, and took the box. Not for himself. I'll give this to my child, he said quietly. Not as your legacy. But as a reminder that even broken things can be repurposed. Even painful histories can teach lessons. Even those who were hurt and those who caused the hurt are still part of the story. Pan Wokieka nodded, trembling. Will you tell them about me? He asked. I'll tell them the truth, Chidi said. All of it. The good, the ugly, the unbearable. Because only truth breaks cycles. He turned to leave, then paused. One last thing, he added. I forgive you. Not because you earned it, but because I refuse to carry your guilt into my future. He walked away. This time, the old man didn't follow. He simply watched his firstborn son disappear into a future he would never enter. For the first time in 30 years, Pan Wokieka felt the full weight of what he had lost. Oluchi sat by the window, one hand on her swollen belly. When she saw Chidi approaching, she stood quickly, searching his face. When he entered, they simply held each other. They sat. Silence stretched until she spoke. My father wants to meet again, she said. Now that you have documentation, now that Mrs. Chidinma offered adoption, he's willing to discuss marriage. What do you want? Chidi asked. Her voice was steady. I want you. Not for my father's approval. Not for documents. I want to build a life with you because I love you. Because you're the father of my child. She took his hand. Chidi watched Oluchi guide his hand to her belly, a tiny kick answering the fears he never voiced. You have yourself, she whispered. And that's enough for us. When their daughter arrived, her first cry shattered the walls he'd carried all his life. Chidera, he named her. What God has written stands. Pan Wokieka never came, but he sent a box for the child. A quiet, late acknowledgement. Holding his daughter against his chest, Chidi understood something for the first time. I am her father. And I am enough. Their new apartment overflowed with sunlight, photos, and lived in joy. On his desk sat the old paper where he had once written "Who am I?" A question that no longer owned him. One night, Chidera looked up at him with sleepy eyes and asked, Dada, who you? Chidi smiled. I'm your father, a man who was once lost but chose to find himself. And I love you. She fell asleep, untouched by the wounds that shaped him. Chidi sat at his table, picked up the old paper, and wrote the only answer that mattered now. I am enough. Years later, when Pan Wokieka died, Chidi attended the funeral, not as an orphan, but as a son who had found his own name. Chikwudi handed him a final letter, an apology carved in regret. Chidi kept it for his daughter, not to burden her, but to arm her with truth. Watching Chidera sleep that night, he made a silent vow. You will know everything. The pain. The survival. The redemption. Not to wound you, but to free you. You will never ask, who am I, from emptiness. Only from strength. Because from your first breath, you were claimed. You were loved. you were home. And this quiet room, this sleeping child, this truth, is where the story ends. Not with the man who abandoned him, but with the man he chose to become. A man who survived against all odds. A man who loved. A man who is enough.